Well, I'm going to share the story of Dr. L.D. Pankey because it's a story that we need to pass along and needs to continue because the impact he has made in our profession is absolutely profound. Well, as I mentioned, Dr. Pankey was born. By the way, here's an interesting bit of trivia, Naren. He was born on July 31st, 1901, in a small town in Indiana. By the way, Naren, by a wonderful coincidence, July 31st is also my birthday. Interesting, huh? Uh, he was born many years before I. I'm an old guy, but I was born many years later. But that's also my birthday, July 31st. He was born in a small town in Indiana, where he made the decision to become a dentist at age 12. And the reason he decided to become a dentist at age 12 was he had a positive experience with his local small town dentist. He had a positive experience and he thought, hey, I would like to help people, and it looks like dentists get to help people. I'd like to become a dentist. The family actually had to move, Naren. So the Pankey family moved from a small town in Indiana to a larger town because the larger town had an accredited high school. In order for him to be able to get into college, he had to graduate from an accredited high school. So they actually had to move so that Dr. Pankey could follow his dream. Well, Dr. Pankey was very bright, and he was accepted to the University of Louisville School of Dentistry at age 19 years old. Aaron, he was accepted into dental school at age 19. He did not have an undergraduate degree, but at the time, an undergraduate degree was not required. They had to have a certain number of science prerequisites, which he met, and they also had to have a certain score on what was the predecessor of the DAT, the entrance exam to dental school. So Dr. Pankey was very bright. He had the science prerequisites, and he got accepted into Louisville at age 19. He had a very good experience during dental school, and he graduated at age 23. He was a dentist at age 23, graduating from the University of Louisville School of Dentistry. By the way, Naren, his total student debt, are you ready for this, Naren?
Yes.
Was $3,300.
Wow.
$3,300, which, by the way, seemed like a massive amount of money in 1923. Seemed like a huge amount of money. But his student loan debt amounted to $3,300. His initial plan was to go into practice with a classmate, one of his dental school classmates, in downtown Louisville. Louisville was a decent sized town, and they felt like practicing in a decent sized town would be a good thing to do. However, those plans kind of got derailed by someone that was his academic advisor at dental school and also became a friend. Uh, that was Dr. T.M. Crutcher. Dr. T.M. Crutcher. Well, what Dr. Crutcher told Dr. Pankey was that he said, I think I have a better plan for you. I know of a practice for sale in Newcastle, Kentucky, about 45 minutes away. Newcastle was a small town in rural Appalachia. And Dr. Crutcher knew that the dentist that owned this practice was relocating to Florida. He had been in practice in Newcastle for 12 years, and he was relocating to Florida. And he told Dr. Pankey, I think this would be a better opportunity. You can step into a busy practice. By the way, in Newcastle, Kentucky, there were only two dentists, the previous dentist that owned this practice and another, in a county of 11,000 people. Two dentists in a county of 11,000 people. How's that sound, Naren, for opportunity? Does that sound pretty good?
Uh, Absolutely. Yeah. Two dentists in a county of 11.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he thought, hey, this will give you a chance to have some experience, Dr. Pankey, and from there you could decide what you want to do with your career. But that would be a good place to go. And to put some icing on the cake, Dr. Crutcher knew that Dr. Pankey didn't have any money being a recently graduate dental student. He said, I have so much faith in you, I would be willing to finance that practice purchase. So imagine your dental school instructor, Naren, saying, I've got so much faith in you that I'll finance that practice purchase. Well, Dr. Pankey went out and took a look at that practice, and it needed some equipment. Even in 1923, it was a fixer-upper. Can you imagine that? Um,
Yes.
So Dr. Crutcher said, I'll be happy to finance any equipment that you need. Anyway, long story short, to purchase the practice along with some equipment that he needed, the total price for all of that was $5,000. So now Dr. Pankey has a $5,000 practice loan to one of his academic advisors at University of Louisville in the amount of $5,000. Dr. Pankey's first day in practice, he saw 9 patients. Was busy from start to finish, saw 9 patients. He saw 14 patients the second day. And this is an actual quote from the book. I'd like to read it to you because it's a cool quote. I worked daylight to dark, patching teeth, primarily with amalgam and synthetic porcelain fillings. I was doing a few small bridges. Mostly what I was doing was removing teeth and making dentures, and what he called hooked partials. In other words, I was doing the same thing the dentists have been doing in Newcastle for the past 104 years. I did very little inlay or bridge work. My patients didn't want it. Court day was the first Monday of the month. Everyone knew dentists would be extracting teeth all day long on court day. After all, that was a tradition that was established over the years. Patients would show up and say, I have tooth trouble. I'd like to have the tooth pulled. All they knew about dentistry was having their teeth pulled. I found this frustrating, but being young, inexperienced, broke, and hungry for success, I soon fit right into this pattern established by dentists before me.